What's up, guys, and welcome back to the JDM NYC channel. Doing another JDM radio video today, a little bit different than the other one. See, the other JDM radio was a pain in the ass. It was wired weird, it didn't work normally, it was just, well, it was a pain in the ass. This time, however, we have something a little bit differently. This time, we have an OEM radio, an OEM touchscreen navigation radio, and it all works. Let's check it out. So, here's what we have. The NDDA W55, a unit that was actually made by Toyota. That's right, by Toyota. Not saying that wrong. So, back in about 2004, 2005, Toyota Japan decided they were going to go ahead and get serious in the navigation market. And in order to get serious in the navigation market, they started to make, well, touchscreen navigation units that were options for cars that never had them in the first place. This was one of those units. Again, the NDDA W55, this was a DVD-based unit. Toyota also made some hard drive-based units that used 40 gig hard drives for storage for the DVDs and the maps and everything else like that. This one works off of DVDs. A couple of different functions. So first off, it is a 7-inch touch screen display, as you guys can see. Support for TV tuner, FM radio, AM radio, CDs that also play MP3s, WMAs, and so forth. Now, a couple of things to note. If you didn't already pick it up from the last JDM radio video, you're not going to go ahead and have a lot of options for what you can catch on the radio because Japanese frequencies, as I mentioned previously, just don't go to the same places and the same frequencies that we have here in the States. So you may be able to catch a couple of stations down over in this range. Past that, you're kind of screwed. Luckily, this thing does support CDs, which play MP3s and everything else like that, and we also have a built-in TV tuner. Which, if you guys,
credit account in store or at loansforpros.com. On September 12th through 16th, see Progressive in store for required coupon details.
So we're kind of catching something, and maybe if I really try and I'm in the right place and I'm in the right area, because we really don't have much for air TV here in New York anymore, but you know, maybe in the right area I'd be able to catch something. As you can hear, it is picking up something. Alas, we have support for that. Let's kind of get into a little bit of what this thing actually does, as it has a couple of, well, interesting features, to say the least. A couple of standard items that we have here: mode, audio button, sound button. This button automatically jumps you to 1620 for some reason. And now it's yelling at me. That's all that it seems to be doing, actually, is that it bounces back and forth. So I guess no matter where I am and I hit this, it'll jump me to 1620. This may be connected to the Vike system. This may not be, and I could also be saying that completely wrong, but we'll look at what that is a little bit later. Mode lets you jump around between the different modes that we have already looked at. Audio brings you to your audio display if you're on the radio, or you know, if we're playing the CD, this would be my audio display, is what is playing. Sound is what lets me go ahead and play with the different equalizers and sound functions, and this thing really has a lot. Dolby Digital is built in, CSC sound is built in, additional bass, DSP controls. We can choose where we'd like the focus of the sound to seem like it's coming from. We have options for the bass that we can go ahead and set. We have various different levels for the CSC mode that we can go ahead and set that I honestly don't know about. We have more in-depth equalizer options where we can go ahead and, for example, choose the body type of our vehicle so that it can help optimize the sound output based on that. We can have a little graphical equalizer of our own that we can go ahead and set controls with. We can set the automatic volume controls to what we would like it to be. This essentially is its that's cool. The audio volume controls would be its speed sensitive volumes and so forth, and then this would be your animations that could play to your music. So you can have little animated equalizers based on what's playing. Anyway, that's our sound display. I already told you what this button over there does, and we'll dig into its functionalities a little bit later on in the video. Our track and tune buttons to go through the different stations and so forth, and then this little button over here that has a couple of Japanese letters that I don't know what they mean, but it pulls up my controls for the brightness and for the contrast, so I can go ahead and adjust that as it's nighttime, daytime, and the sun hits it and so forth. Also, speaking of as the sun hits it and adjusting it to the best visibility as you're driving, this is a very interesting little option here. So hitting tilt opens up this little display. If we hit open, we'll see the slots over there in the back for the CD and DVD ROM. The CD currently has something that somebody forgot and we're listening to, and the DVD ROM has the DVD with the firmware for this unit, along with the actual navigation maps and everything else like that. We can hit close and close that back up. But now we have this other function here called tilt, which is amazingly convenient if you're driving around and the sun is just hitting it at the wrong angle, you know, or maybe the way that your seat is positioned in the car, it would just be more convenient to have the display tilted a little bit. Well, this is literally what it does. And it has various different levels of tilt, so that looks pretty weird looking at it from down here. But if we have a fairly up there driving position, it makes the display a hell of a lot easier to see. And then once we're actually good and done with it, we can go ahead and hit tilt to go back to our original mode. So let's get out of this tilt view and let's take a look at what we have here on this side. So we have the menu button. We have the button that doesn't work for me, which is supposed to pull up what's around me and my current location and where I am. It just can't figure that out because the map that it has is of Japan, and we are many, many thousands of miles away from there. The last button pulls up various different options for the navigation that it has. This would be, I guess, the config / apps / settings screen. And then we have our volume controls and the tilt button I spoke about. So let's go up into menu and start, well, up in menu. So, VIX is our vehicle information system. It uses various different modes, RDF signals, FM transmissions, and so forth, to display and to send various different information to the car that this system can pull up and display, either in text form, either in graphics that are overlaid over the map, or things, you know, messages that you can literally listen to. And this is what I think this quick little button here has to do with. I believe that it brings me right over to, well, I guess the channel that would be used to transmit these messages over in Japan. The menu here doesn't really let me click on anything, assumingly because it's not pulling anything up, and I'm being yelled at again. But it is a very interesting system. What I would relate it to here is, like, if you ever driven on the side of the highway and you saw those like flashing yellow signs that say tune in to 1330 to, you know, hear traffic news and alerts. That's kind of what it's like. It seems to be on a much more sophisticated level because this system way back when was already able to broadcast real-time traffic updates and information, which you're not going to get on that AM channel. You'll get on like Waze or Google Maps, and this is right there built into your navigation. Hella convenient feature. So that's the VIX button. Here we get into the sound option for the lady that yells at me.
この音量でご案内します。この音量でご案内します。この音量でご案内します。
Whoop, did I may have frozen this. I wonder if it runs on Windows. Anyway, that's that. Whatever that just did.
ナビのいろいろな機能の設定ができます。
But it stays yelling at me. Go figure. Tons of different settings and options for things that we can turn on and off in the voice-guided navigation and the actual map. I have no idea what any of these things are because I can't read any of it. But that's our settings screen from what I've learned. This somehow connects me over to the main navigation display, something that we'll have to look at also a little bit later. And I literally have no idea what these last two things do at all. Anyway, that's our menu mode, and we're being yelled at. Why are you yelling at me? So this, like I said, doesn't work because it's supposed to pick up where I am and show what's around me, and it, well, can't pick up where I am, and it can't showcase what's around me. This brings us to the first view of the navigation, technically the second. This is the initial view of the navigation, which gives us the ability to, I guess, type in the place or point of interest that we would like to go to. I'm assuming that this is kind of like my address book, to where I can click on things to see them. A phone that, well, I can't use because I guess it's not connected to the car, and I guess my favorites or my saved locations that I can get to. And then if I click this, I go to kind of, I guess, preset modes. So this would be for me to start what looks like the actual navigation to set up where we're driving from and where we're going to. This looks like various points of interest that are preset here. I have no idea what any of those are, but I'm going to assume it's roughly the same exact things. I'm not really sure what that is. Seems like telephone. Also, this I figured out is map coordinates, because if I type in random coordinates, it will find me on the map. See if we can... pull up the map like this. So we're in the map. Again, I have absolutely no idea what anything on here means. What I do get is that there is a lot of different Toyota dealerships in places. And in this mode, you have to use these, it seems, to get around. There was a different view that I got to at one point that let me actually click on the map and it would fly there. That is a fairly interesting symbol. Let me get this thing out of the way so you guys can kind of see that. So for anybody that's wondering, and that will inevitably post a comment asking me about this, that is actually the sign for temples over in Japan. Has been forever. Way before it was a symbol that was ruined by the German Nazi Party. So before anybody gets upset or angry or even remotely questionable, it is a sign for a temple. That is it. moving on. Here's the last mode that I want to go ahead and give you guys a look at, the last button that I can press. So a couple of simple things here, right? We have a calendar so we can keep track of the date and time and so forth if we so want. We have a demo button which lets me turn on various different demos that, well, I probably want if I'm at either a car show or trying to sell this thing. And it talks and shows different things. It tries to explain the various different options and features that this unit had. So voice guided navigation, I mean, it showed you how to go places. It did a lot.
地図画面を色デモを終了します。現在走行しているルートデモを終了します。地図画面をトヨタ純正 DVD ナビゲーション NDDA W55 の主な特徴について説明します。
Tons of different demos
場所を探すことが
that
で
I
き
wish you
ま
would
す。
stop talking.
地域、ジャンル別で絞り込んでデモを終了します。
Whew! Anyway, quick option screen. So what I learned is that this one chooses what it should turn on as soon as the unit actually turns on. It's weird special animation, the navigation, or just the audio display. Here I can choose the different type of beep that I would like it to make. So you hear how it makes a beep every time I click things? Now it does this. Or I could do tons of different things. Here I can choose what picture shows up when the unit first launches. The original picture for the NDDA W55, a preset picture, something that it pulls off of the disc, whatever the case is. That's my options, the list for that. This gives me the various different preset databases of things that are used in Japan for points of interest that I might want to look up, phone numbers, and so forth. Ones on my own and so forth. Here's that mode where I can literally click around. I gotta say, this thing is a lot more responsive than some units that, I mean, I've seen to this very day. I give them a lot of props for that. I truly do. So those are my different preset locations that I might wish to go to. The demo mode. Something for FM that I don't understand. My calendar. This we already went into. I'm assuming that this is more information about something, maybe specifically businesses or government agencies. I seem to get the hours that they're open. Don't know what that is. Phone numbers. I can click to call, obviously can't on here, and I can, I guess, set my navigation or see where they are on the map and get to them. Interesting. And then we have this button. This is something that I think is really interesting, and it just goes to reinstate how much... I get that it said something about maintenance. And that's exactly what this is about. So this is kind of the maintenance record screen. Japan is very, very focused on maintenance. Every time they do an oil change, a sticker goes on the car. Every time they change the timing belt, everything, a sticker goes on the car. They are very focused with this. And they like to keep records of everything. This navigation unit is intended to help with that. So you can literally store the records of when you did... I mean everything. You change the oil filter, you change the serpentine belt, you change the brakes, the radiator, fluids, transmission fluid, air filters,
お知らせ時期を設定できます。
everything. And it could remind you, the voice, of the different things that need to be done or that, should be done. And you can also track these things across users. So as you can see, there's various different user buttons, and each user can have his own record of, I did a service, I washed the car, I changed the battery, I did something like that. Which, this radio is in a Toyota Celsior, and in here, let's say that this is a car, it's in Japan and it's being used as a company car, and it has a lot of different drivers. It's a great way to keep track of what everybody's done on the car. Really is. And we have a decent sound system.
苦しいだけ私の愛は今度は
So there you have it, guys. Life with a JDM radio part 2. When the JDM radio actually works. And works well. Thanks so much for watching, guys. As always, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what videos you guys want to see. We have some awesome stuff coming up soon with some awesome cars. Thanks for watching. See you soon.